Hello and welcome to Nintendo News Report for Friday, September 22nd, 2017, also known as the day after everything and its mother came out on the Switch. I'm Donald Terriel, hosting this evening's proceedings as we'd like to wish Alex a very happy new year of the year 5884. Joining me tonight, though, we have two other Nintendo News Report regulars. Live from Alaska, a man who has his own Mr. Squishy to hang out with, Zach Miller.
It's the baby. And also Samus, whose head is as big as her fist. So that's weird.
It's something about that helmet. I don't know if there's something related to the fact that Metroid still can't crawl. Although I'm kind of disappointed, actually, that when I got the manual, I got Metroid Samus Returns on the eShop, and it's like, I went into the manual thinking, oh, they actually did put why can't Metroid crawl in the booklet, but no, not so much. And our other guest this evening, the man without the lower third, because Google Hangouts is a pain in the butt, Justin Groovy.
What's up, guys?
Yes, Justin,
I think Metroid does crawl in Zero Mission, doesn't she?
She does, actually.
Yes, and I understand that both of you had a very bad experience with a Best Buy screw up earlier today.
Yes,
it was worth a shot.
It was worth a shot.
Yeah, Best Buy had the dual pack up for what, like $12 or some low price.
$13.
Yeah, well, for me, since I'm Gamers Club Unlocked, it came to $11.10 after tax. So
nice.
And
it was quickly canceled.
Yeah.
Yeah, Best Buy has a history of these things. I mean, hell, they put Mario and Rabbids up for $30 for the hat last night.
I do have the hat.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I don't think they're letting go two 3DS games for $12 that are going to be, well, they're not even out yet. They're coming out in 2 months. It's a little over the top. And yes, if you are coming in late, we do have the chat room up. So if anything important does come up there, I will be able to see it, and we can respond to it on the fly. But let's. In a very light weekend for things that didn't involve game reviews, we did have something interesting come out as it pertains to the Switch and the late Mr. Satoru Iwata this week, as it was finally confirmed that there is actually a copy of NES Golf installed on the firmware of the Switch as seemingly a good luck charm for the system, and the way of getting it is a bit unusual. And it only works one day out of the year.
Isn't there an argument over you need a certain firmware version too, or?
Yeah, apparently it only works on Switches that have never connected to the internet.
Well, there goes mine.
No, we'll see for sure next year, I guess.
Yeah. So basically, what has to happen is on this launch firmware of the Switch on July 11th. If you disconnect the Joy-Cons and do the directly gesture, as demonstrated so many times by Mr. Iwata in the Nintendo Directs, you will actually boot into a version of NES Golf, the original one, that has working motion controls.
Directly
into you'll boot directly into that game.
And nobody's ever wanted to do that before until this week.
Yeah, true.
I'm surprised it doesn't, because July 11th, is that actually Mr. Iwata's actual birthday? Because I know it's the anniversary of the day that he passed away.
I don't think it's his birthday.
Yeah. I think it's like January, February, something. Find out.
I couldn't tell you.
Yeah. Thankfully, we have Google. Born December 6, 1959. So it's like, I wonder if you do that on his actual birthday, if it'll boot into something like Balloon Fight.
That'd be nice.
I think they would have found that by now.
Yeah, because it's like somebody randomly found a copy of Golf running on the Switch, and because now we know there's a working NES emulator on the Switch that has enhanced control support, but nobody really expected that it would be in there and treated in such a fashion that it seems like Iwata is still watching over the system, even though he passed away 2 years before it came out.
Yeah, well, now everybody can stop whining for Virtual Console. You got it.
Yeah, one game. Now, admittedly, it's probably his greatest programming feat, getting 18 holes of golf on the tiniest of Famicom cartridges.
But I think he did it again with NES Open Tournament Golf. I think he was involved in that.
Oh, really?
If I'm not mistaken.
I wouldn't. Well, at that point, they were probably using bigger carts because wasn't that like a 1991 game?
Oh, yeah, that was a later game. But man, that game's. I don't care what any people say. That's the original Mario Golf in my book.
Yeah, there's way more graphical fidelity in that game than was in the original Famicom Golf.
Yeah, and I played the version on the Famicom Mini, and it seems very different than our version. You have to looks like you have to unlock various courses, and I think they're all unlocked from the start in the North American release.
Yeah, yeah, North America ain't got time for that.
I don't like the NES Open Golf.
I know.
I don't think a lot of people do.
Nope, not from what I've heard. And I'm like, hey, it's pretty good for an NES golf game. And
yeah, there's a lot of those games on the NES that sold really well, but just didn't really click. Like when NES Open Tournament Golf came out as an ambassador game, I think I assume it was an ambassador game. It was.
I'm pretty sure it was. Yeah,
it was.
I played the garbage out of it, and everyone else is like, I hate that game. I'm like, oh, I love this game. This is a great game to always have on my 3DS.
Yeah, I think the only game I hate played more on my 3DS was Zelda 2.
Actually, me too. I tried to beat it. It still hasn't happened yet.
I actually managed to beat that game before save states.
Nice.
I've beaten that game on the NES. So.
Oh.
And the sad thing is, Zelda 2 was actually the first NES game I ever got as a kid. And yet I still like
Nintendo. Still a Nintendo fan?
Yeah. It's the miracle of Festivus. Yeah, good to see that we have a working NES emulator running on the Switch. And so when they start handing out those free games next year, maybe they don't start with Balloon Fight, but you get the feeling that's going to be one of the early ones.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
You're getting versus Balloon Fight soon, maybe.
Yes, we are. Among other things, we'll talk about next week's insane release schedule later on. But the other big story seemingly of the week is that we had the occasion to attend a press event from Bethesda, who's obviously going around presenting Wolfenstein, and they also had running handheld only the Switch version of Doom. And
yeah, and it looks good.
The fact that game is running as seemingly as smoothly as it showed in the video that is on our YouTube channel, 27 minutes long. And by the way, you don't have to worry about ads because it's Doom. True. And they're not going to put ads on that kind of video. But yeah, it seems to be running smoothly and It seems like lock 30 even in handheld mode, even if the resolution isn't what you would expect from Doom, but it seems to be running a very capable version portably.
Yeah, I watched a lot of Jared's video, and there was not noticeable dips.
Yeah,
I watched a little bit. It looks cool. I'm excited to try Doom on Switch.
Same.
I mean, the price is a bit steep for what it is at this point.
Is it going to be 60?
It looks like it's 60 on all the websites that have it up for viewer.
It may
got it the first time, but yeah, it's a little pricey.
I mean, it's down to 20 on the other platforms, but you also have to download 90 gigs if you're doing that game. So I will gladly take. I think I've said elsewhere that I would pay $60 for a version of Doom that runs on that didn't have to download all the multiplayer junk, and the fact that it's going to be a separate download on Switch means it's right in my wheelhouse.
I hope it's a separate download and not just a patch.
It is.
So I can choose to not download it.
Yeah, it's a separate download, and we had word from Bethesda this week that it's about a 9 gig download.
Oh, that's it. Wow.
For the multiplayer, so you have to think that they're not downloading the size of assets that you would get, say, in a PC version or like even a PS4 version that's been upgraded to run on a PS4 Pro.
True.
Because those are that's cranking out 4K assets versus what you would get on the Switch. Because it seems like it's going to run at 720 locked on when it's in docked mode, which we didn't get a chance to see this week.
Okay. It's good enough for me.
Yeah, it's good enough for any portable Doom. Because another video after you're done watching that's definitely worth watching is the Digital Foundry this week did a rundown of every console port of the original Doom. And
oh, really?
Yeah, and for some reason they threw Doom 64 in there, even though that's a completely different game than the other.
But it's so good.
But it's like the best version of Doom that isn't the ones that came out on 360 and PS3 last generation.
Very true.
Yeah, when they finally had the horsepower to see just something that can actually run a 1994 PC game at full speed. And surprisingly, the Super Nintendo version of Doom is not the worst playing version. I'll just leave it at that.
I have the Super Nintendo version of Wolfenstein.
That actually ran pretty. That was actually ran pretty
right.
well.
I mean, not great, but it's a little weird.
Yeah, but I think that the funnest part about Wolfenstein is knowing what they turned that game into.
Yeah.
For those who don't know, they used the Wolfenstein engine to make the only unlicensed SNES game, Super Noah's Ark 3D.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. That is actually a thing that happened. And
somehow.
So you go from punching Nazis to, I don't know, converting people. I admit I have not played Super Noah's Ark 3D, and I haven't really had the inclination to do it.
Converting Nazis.
Yeah, and hey, you get to shoot some Nazis with Wolfenstein, also coming to the Switch next year, and I think that one might be a little bit more interesting to see how it runs. Although it's seemingly, since even the PS4 and Xbox One versions of that game aren't out yet, throughout next month, maybe that one will even come down to the Switch a little better than what Doom seems to be doing.
I have the New Order on PS4. I have not touched it. I mean, I got it like 2 years ago on a flash sale for $5. I need to play that before the second game comes out.
Yeah, it'd be nice if they released the first game on Switch.
And the Old Blood.
Yeah, by the time the second game comes out, why not make it a 2-pack?
There you go.
Yeah, and New Order and Old Blood both ran very well on PS3 and 360, so probably a simple port up process at that point. But
there you go.
And we also learned the panic button is doing the port for Doom, so it's not Bethesda or id internal, but it is being handled by a group who has some experience with porting games to the Switch.
Okay, I've never heard of them.
Yeah, I think. Let me see what else they've done here. Panic button games. They do. Because I know they've done something. Did something recent. Oh, they're also doing Rocket League.
Okay.
They're also doing the Rocket League port. They also have Missplosion Man, and they're used to doing stuff down to handhelds because they did the Ultimate Edition of Injustice, which actually I played that on Vita. It was a decent little effort.
Oh, really? Okay, better than the Mortal Kombat 9.
Yeah, ran better. I had less of a care because superheroes just don't click with me, but that thing it actually ran better than the PS4 version did.
Oh, wow. That's interesting.
Yeah, PS4 version of Injustice was kind of a mess.
There's a shame. I have that.
There's a reason I think they patched. I think they got that working eventually, but it took some patching to get there.
Oh, okay. I did. That's another game I flash sailed for like $5.
I think it was actually like the first retail game that was free on PS Plus.
Really? Wow.
PS4.
Huh.
But yeah, so but that's the story with Doom. We'll probably see more on that in the weeks ahead. Although maybe we'll get a bigger sign as to what's going to happen with what's going to be happening with Doom when we see Skyrim come out in mid-November.
Yeah. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that game does because I know that it's like every version that comes out is filled with bugs because it's such a huge game. It'll be interesting to see how Nintendo deals with that.
All right.
Well,
so
I mean, people patch games all the time on Nintendo now, so.
Oh yeah, sure. You know.
Probably work how it's been working for every game.
Yeah.
Yeah. So from there, because like I said, not a lot of news this week, but that's mainly because it seems like every game in the world has come out this week. We had, let's see, we've got 4 different Switch games coming out of retail. Either they're out on the eShop now and they're coming out on the retail shelf later on, or you've got the 3 different Switch games, including Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2 and Pokken DX. Waiting for the latter one to come in there. That should be in Monday. And we had 2 really big indie titles come out this week with SteamWorld Dig 2, including our first 10 in a few months.
Yeah, I was surprised.
From Don. And Thimbleweed Park, the adventure game from the folks what brought you the old LucasArts adventure games.
Yeah, Maniac Mansion.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to starting SteamWorld Dig 2. Really love the first game.
And Zach, you're playing that one right now, or at least I heard you were.
I was a second ago. Yeah, it's the beginning of the game is basically the demo that was at PAX and probably elsewhere. A little 5-minute piece of gameplay, but it's really pretty, and looks to have more depth than the first game, which is I like SteamWorld Dig. I don't see why people went crazy over it because it kind of wore out my Y button, and I didn't really like the not proprietary, randomly generated overworld. I was much more interested in the puzzle rooms, but there really weren't enough of those.
Yeah, that's the main thing I've been waiting on, just a matter of work timing. And I've got I've gone from review game to review game right now, so I just haven't had a chance to pick it up, but I'll probably grab it next week.
Yeah, I got Pokemon Gold too, although I haven't started that.
My condolences.
I played it when it came out, and I just don't see much of a reason to go back to it at this point.
Because they're the best Pokemon games.
I disagree. But I mean, those are the games that really went against psychic Pokemon like Mewtwo, and I'm just not okay with that.
Oh, I see how it is.
I'm more offended
Mewtwo agenda.
Well, yeah. Although they kind of went the other way because now everything in that game is normal types. Although it's hard to say they have an anti-psychic agenda when you can walk into Goldenrod City with $11,000 and walk out having won the game. Yeah, you buy the Aber at the game corner, you buy all 3 elemental punch TMs, and you're done.
Right. Yeah. I know that trick.
Yeah. And I have played more Pokemon Gold and Silver than any person should ever have to.
Okay.
I will admit that Heart Gold and Soul Silver are the best versions of those games.
That's careful, Zach. You might be damning that with faint praise.
I'm also kind of annoyed that you get Celebi in Ultra Moon and Ultra Sun with the download code when you buy Pokemon Gold Silver, but not in Gold Silver. That kind of pissed me off.
Well, that's realistic to the games because it's the only way to get that North America at least ever got Celebi in the original games was glitch or go to Six Flags.
Oh, I understand that, but I mean, in the Virtual Console re-release that they clearly fixed up to work with Pokemon Bank, they could have thrown him in there.
Yeah, I think it would have made more sense to give people who download the game Celebi currently somehow.
Yeah. And I don't want Celebi in a game I don't have.
Yeah, and then you can, if you want them in the new games, you can use the Pokebank to transfer them over.
Yeah, I already have like 3 Celebis from various event Pokemon over the years.
Yeah.
In my bank. Oh, well.
Yeah. So, and this week being a little nuts, and then next week we have the Super Nintendo Classic,
Yes.
We got FIFA, the first Arcade Archives Nintendo game with Mario Brothers, and it seems like there's 9 different indie games that are coming out next week, and that's even before we get into the remote possibility that Cave Story could still meet its September release date. Good
Cave
God,
Story?
like Golf Story. Although Cave Story did get its update for co-op.
It did. I'm kind of excited to try that with somebody, not my wife, but somebody.
Unfortunately, I don't know, Zach. You going down to Green Bay again this year?
No, no. I wasted my money going to Calgary this year. That's my travel budget.
Yeah. Yeah, that would make sense. So I don't know if you get one of your buddies over from the frozen north, or just wait till PAX next year.
There you go. Let me tell you though, going to Calgary, I was a rich man.
Yeah, and then right after you left, the dollar went up 5 cents. You got out at the perfect time, my man.
Wow, nice.
And was it nice to have money that wasn't green for once?
It was actually really weird. And I only cashed out, I only exchanged about 20 American dollars.
Yeah.
And I used credit cards for everything else. And all the stuff at SVP was American or Canadian dollars, which was very nice.
Smart.
Yeah.
Although I suppose they're going to have a lot of guests there, so that would make sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I know every time I go to the U.S., which granted I've only really gone twice, I still cannot get used to every bit of your currency being green.
Oh, okay. Do you guys have
green?
We have green, but it's for one type, whereas one denomination is blue, one's purple, one's red. Also,
wait till you get the exciting Sacagawea dollar. See how you feel then.
Also, we ditched the penny about 5 years ago, so
I'm jealous of that. I really am.
So I'm kind of not used to carrying around pennies either.
I still have a purple 10. I keep meaning to go exchange it at the bank, but I kind of like how it looks because it's a weird looking dollar. Half of it's clear.
Yeah, that's a counterfeiting measure.
Oh, okay, makes sense.
Yes. All right. So yeah, so it's going to be a really busy couple of weeks, especially as the release schedule fills out, and heck, the 3DS is going to have a banging week in 2 weeks because you've got 3 major games coming out then for Mario and Luigi, the new Lady Layton game, and Cult of Separate Revolt, which you'll see something on that on the website early Tuesday morning.
Remind me what that game is exactly.
Cult of Separate Revolt is a combination of board game, collectible card game, and RPG.
Oh, okay.
And it's really, I'm certainly enjoying what I'm playing of it so far.
Who developed that one?
Pardon?
Who developed that one? Wasn't it?
I don't remember the name of the studio offhand, but it is the same. Like, this is Cult of Seven is a long running series. It just so happened that Nintendo published the last one in Japan for 3DS. And I think the last one we got over here before this was the 360 game, I want to say in 2008.
Oh, wow. It's been a while.
Yeah. But I think I'm about to hit the point that it'll start breaking down. So that's what I've been playing this week. But I know the two of you have been playing hanging out with a lot of Metroids.
Metroid.
Yes, I did play a lot of that.
I just got through my second playthrough, 100%ed fusion mode today. I don't know how people are beating this game in under 4 hours. I don't know how that's possible.
I've seen some. I saw someone who did fusion mode without like getting any of the pickups or anything.
Oh, that's got to be the only way.
With like the lowest percent run, I think you can do.
Yeah. Yeah, major upgrades don't add to your percentage. So they must just not be getting any missiles or energy tanks.
So I got the like the Aeon capabilities or something. I don't.
Yeah, you have to get those. But yeah, doing that must be like a no hits run.
Yeah, I heard the trick
everything kills you in fusion mode.
I heard the trick to doing it is using that like Aeon armor.
Yeah, oh, you have
all
to.
the time, like all the time.
Yeah,
because everything becomes like a one-hit kill.
it's
And yeah, especially in fusion mode, that seems like it'd be a bit of an issue because I mean that Aeon powered. I know even from just the one that I've gotten so far with the map takes a bit to recharge. So
I felt like it wasn't that hard to recharge it at all. Like you.
No, every enemy you kill gives you energy for it.
No, I was just spamming that like map thing like the whole game.
Oh yeah, yeah. The one I find drains it the most is the rapid fire.
Yeah, that does.
That really pulls it down. But rapid fire is great for killing the final boss.
So, and I've heard that the boss is a bit big for the game.
Yes, you could say that.
We'll try to keep the spoiler free, but yeah, you can probably guess who the final boss of this game is.
Yeah, don't think about it too hard. Neil, a couple of days before his review went up, he was texting me and saying, "Oh my God, this game is great." And he said, "Oh, and by the way, the game's not over after the Queen. There's one more fight." And I was like, "I wonder if it's blank." And then a couple of days later, I found out, yes, it is.
So as you guys are way more of Metroid fans than I am, I've enjoyed the bit that I've played so far. But Metroid 2 is also the one traditional Metroid that I've really enjoyed over the years. So how is this one holding up for you guys as veteran Metroid fans?
Did you say you enjoy Metroid 2?
I enjoy Metroid 2 as well, Zach.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah,
I enjoy it with a map.
Yeah, Metroid 2 is the first game that like I really started to love in the Metroid series. I had the NES one, but like I don't think I understood it. I was too young at the time to really understand what the game was going for because it was so maze-like.
Absolutely same here.
And Metroid 2, like I guess I figured out and played through the whole thing. And I guess I have mixed opinions about this game. Like clearly this new one, the Samus Returns, is the better game overall. It's just easier to get into, but it's still probably the most difficult Metroid game.
Oh yeah,
the boss fights are pretty rough, but I think the original Metroid 2 sets the mood better. It like feels creepier, and the music I liked better in the original. I think the new music like steals from other Metroid games too much.
Oh, totally. It's like the Prime soundtrack is in this game,
which kind of like ticked me off because like you start Samus Returns and the title screen is like a remix of the original Metroid 2 music, and I'm like, all right, I can't wait to hear all the music they've redone from the original Metroid 2, and they didn't really do too many remixes from that game. There's a few in there, but I was very disappointed. Like even like I don't even think they used the same type of song for the boss fight, and like
the only one I really noticed was the kind of the, I don't know what you'd call it, the overworld or the main drop down music.
Yeah, there's that, and then I think there's one other spot where like you could hear some of the music in the background, like they mixed it into like some other song or something like that. And then the credits, I think, was a remix at one point.
Okay,
but yeah, overall I was disappointed because it didn't really set the mood that the original Metroid 2 music did.
I definitely agree with you that Metroid 2 has an atmosphere that the new one doesn't.
Yeah.
The new one, like my biggest complaint about this new game is that there's only so much you can do with subterranean caverns in terms of the aesthetic. 90% of the game looks the same. The one area will have some mechanical things in the background, and one area will have some plants in the background, but overall you're looking at purple rocks, and that got old real quick.
I mean, that didn't really bother me because it didn't really matter for the most part where you were, except for like certain areas where you need like an upgrade, like the hot areas or underwater.
Yeah, no, I get that. I just am used to Metroid games having more diverse landscapes.
Yeah, I guess my other issue I mean, the music thing is one thing, just based on nostalgia. It doesn't really take away from this game at all. It's just I like the mood in the other one better. But I feel like the game was slowed down a lot by that melee attack because they really focused on it with all the enemies. I felt like every enemy was super aggressive,
Yeah.
and that you had to almost wait for them to do their aggressive attack to repel them away with the melee attack to kill them faster. Which at a certain point in the game, when you go back to those areas, your weapons are just stronger. You could take most of them out pretty quickly, but for backtracking earlier on, it just bogs the game down a lot. If you're just going like, oh, I can go back and get some power ups, because I wasn't going for like a speed run or anything. So I'd be like, okay, I can go back and get some of these items I knew I missed before. And
Yeah.
when you go back to those enemies, it's like I can't really run past them because they're very aggressive, especially those flying ones that just
the bats. Yeah.
Bam, yeah, just bam right into you all the time. So yeah, I felt like there weren't enough passive enemies in the game overall.
Did you feel like that they just kept repeating the enemies? Because I felt like there were way too many bats.
Yeah.
Way too many spiky things that roll at you.
Yep.
And way too many of those fish that either crawl up the walls or electrify the floor.
Yeah, I mean, they did keep adding new ones to like the different areas, I felt like, but at the same time, they did repeat a lot of them.
Yeah. That kind of goes with my complaint about the aesthetic. Like it just added to the idea that no area was really that distinct.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've got some divisive. We've got a bit of a division in the chat room here. Is 1K3 saying, "Yeah, the counter sucks," but
I'm not against the counter. I just think it should have been balanced with a more mixture of enemies.
Right.
I mean, one trick you can do with the counter early on that I found is once you get the ice beam, you can freeze an enemy and then just run up to them and hit them with the counter, and they'll just shatter.
Oh, really? That's cool.
Yeah, so you can like kind of cheat it a bit if you switch to that and just want to like kill things in that fashion. But you do have to get close to them to hit them, like, and it's hard to do that with the backs sometimes. But you could do it if you jump.
And you almost have to use a counter on the Metroids, on some of the Metroids, if you're going to get anywhere.
So far, the only way I've been able to do any long-term lasting damage to the Metroids is off of a counter and then just blasting them like with the ice beam.
Well, I felt that like you can hit a lot of them with the ice beam, and then that would get them to almost do their counterable move right afterwards. And then
I didn't know that.
Yeah, if like you freeze them. I mean, not every Metroid you could do that to. Like the later ones, I don't think it's possible to freeze them.
Right.
But yeah.
Yeah, and we've got Cherry Goblin here saying that he thinks the counter makes Metroid less boring. Which, I don't know, but then again, I don't have the background in Metroid that you guys do.
Yeah, I think the counter's fine. It just should have been, the enemy type should have been more balanced, so not everything was so focused on that counter ability. I mean, it's not a bad game at all, but I like the game a lot. I probably give it a 9 out of 10 because I just couldn't put that thing down. But I think it could have been balanced a bit better the way they use that melee counter.
I like the melee counter. It's just so you use it all the time.
It's like I said, almost every enemy. It's like it's better to wait for its move to use that counter than to just shoot it, which seems very un-Samus-like overall. But I think it's still cool.
Yeah.
But mix it up. And the one thing that did tick me off at the end was there were some power-ups I couldn't get, and I tried a ton of stuff trying to figure out how to get these power-ups, even though I had every upgrade in the game. And apparently there's a hidden technique in this Metroid game that you need to figure out or just look up. I mean, I probably spent like 40 minutes trying to figure this out, nearly killing myself.
I did it by accident.
Then I'm just like, you know what? There's something this game isn't telling me, and it's true. The game doesn't show you at all. There's no little animals to give you a hint on it.
You should tell our audience so that they're not frustrated.
I don't know if they want me to tell them or not. So,
okay.
I mean, it's not hard to look up.
True.
So it's kind of like
a spider ball technique. Let's just say that.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's kind of like the crystal, kind of like as hidden as the crystal flash was in Super.
Yeah, but you need to do this to get certain item pickups.
Yeah.
So
How early are we talking here? Because, like I said, I'm still pretty
It's
early
late
on.
game.
Yeah,
It's late
you
game.
can't do it till late game, but you will see some of the things earlier on in some of the earlier areas, so they force you to backtrack.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I've seen a few areas that it's like I should be able to get to this. Maybe now that I've got the spider ball, I can crawl up there and grab it. But it sounds like sounds like this is something I'm going to have to double back to later on.
Yeah, you'll see. You'll see.
Yeah, I'm just ticked because it seemed very un-Metroid like not to have any clue at all on how to do it in the game anywhere.
Yeah.
So we obviously this being more of a news show here, but I do like where we're going with this. But the first week sales for the game came out in Japan, and it did middle of the road for a Metroid game in Japan. Do you think this is going to do well enough outside that we'll probably see more 2D Metroid in the future? Because they've said that the future of 2D Metroid hinges on how well this game sells.
Yeah, great. It doesn't Metroid traditionally do better over here?
Yeah, like it was player's choice on the GameCube with the Prime games for some reason.
Well, Prime was. I mean, I hope it does well. I mean, I see a lot of people playing it on Twitter, it looks like, and I hope it does well. But I mean, it is on 3DS and it is late life, and a lot of people have gone to Switch, so it's hard to say how many people are just going to get it or not.
Yeah, and a lot of people I've seen on Twitter do say, "Oh, if it was on Switch, I'd get it."
Yeah, I mean, one of the things I am concerned about this game long term is they decided to reboot Metroid 2 in a dated game on a system that by this point is considered dated. So right. I'd really like. I think it would be nice maybe to get a Switch version of this game down the road, or like an HD version of it or something, because I just hate for this game, the replacement of a dated game, to be the new dated game in a couple of years already.
Yeah,
but what gets me with doing a Switch version of this game is that we've waited so long for them to do a semi-traditional Metroid on a dual screen handheld. I mean, I love me some Federation Force, but that was not your daddy's Metroid.
No,
right.
Better or worse. And now that we've got it, it seems like a shame that it might fall by the wayside.
Yeah, I mean, this is the game we've really been waiting for on a dual screen Nintendo system since 2004 when the DS launched, because I think at that point everybody knew that a Metroid game would work amazing if you had the gameplay on the top screen and a freaking map on the bottom screen.
Yeah.
And they gave it to us. It works great. Why did it take this long? I don't freaking know, but it works great, and you don't have to keep pausing to see the map. So, yeah,
I wonder. I'd like to know how long it was in development.
It seemed like it, because we heard about Mercury Steam pitching something to Nintendo in 2015. It seemed to get in after that, and it probably. And I mean, Nintendo is still being somewhat surprised by how much of a runaway success the Switch has been. So that may be why they were still greenlighting 3DS projects into late 2017 into 2018.
Probably true.
Even if, as Ms. says in the chat room, everybody should still have a 3DS, even if they traded one in toward a Switch.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure most of the people who own a Switch still have a 3DS, but how many people want to go back to it? I'm willing to do it, but what about everybody else?
Yeah, I think we're in the minority here, Justin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's Metroid, and now I suppose the countdown is on. Do we find out just what and who is Metroid Prime 4?
I hope Metroid Prime 4 takes place later in the timeline, because they really need to move past Fusion.
Well, I think Metroid Prime 4 is going to still be before Metroid 2. I think it's just going to, and I think it's going to tie up all the loose ends of the Prime thing. And then, I mean, without spoiling Samus Returns, there's basically 3 loose ends, I feel like, in the Metroid saga right now. And for the Prime series, it's Sylix and what he's up to.
Yeah.
After Fusion, we need to figure out what happens to Samus after becoming probably a criminal to the Galactic Federation. And then there's this new thing that could tie into all of that after Metroid Fusion that you can find out if you 100% the new game. Samus Returns.
And if you can, and once the speedrunners figure out how to 100% the game in under 4 hours, maybe who knows? Maybe that'll get tied up as well.
Well, I think they already have. I think I saw someone beat it in 2.5 hours.
Oh my god!
Was that in any percent or 100%?
I think any percent.
Percentage. I should tell Donald. Percentage complete doesn't count towards your ending scene.
Okay, so it's just time based this time.
Just time. Yep.
Okay. But yeah, so we'll probably see more of Samus Returns in January at Awesome Games Done Quick. That'll be that. I'm definitely going to tune in for that one. Just see how
it is a good game, and if you have a 3DS and you haven't picked up Samus Returns yet, I highly recommend you do. It is an interesting Metroid.
Definitely,
it is fun. Like I brought up some problems, but like I said, overall, I probably still would give this game a 9 out of 10, just because. Problems aside, the game is still ridiculously fun.
Yeah,
and addictive. Like you just want to keep going and going.
Yeah, I'd give it 8.59. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I'm still too early to make a call on it, but
what was the last thing you got?
Ice Beam or Spider Ball. I can't.
Early.
Yeah, that's real early.
All right, but yeah, that is going to do it for this week because I think we all want to get back to Metroid. I think,
or SteamWorld Dig,
or SteamWorld Dig 2, or in my
Rabbids. Case, I'm finishing.
Oh
God, I still have to get that. I still have to get through World 1 on that game.
Oh jeez,
I beat it last night, but now I'm doing some of the bonus content. So,
what's the first game you guys are going to play on the Super Nintendo Mini?
Star Fox and Star Fox 2.
Yeah.
I think I might go after the obvious one, Star Fox 2. I think I might go FF6. I haven't played the Super Nintendo version of that in years, and I think I'm due for a replay on that.
I've never played that.
I haven't either.
Although that'll probably get me thrown out of my apartment.
I mean, I'm excited for SNES Classic, and probably not as much as other people because I still have my SNES hooked up and a ton of games for it.
Oh. I have, yeah. I don't have it hooked up, but I have a lot of the games that are on the SNES Classic. I'm kind of excited to play, like the real version of Yoshi's Island again.
Yeah. That'll be my palate cleanser, I think, in between FF6 sessions.
I mean, I wish there was like the real version of Yoshi's Island plus bonus levels somewhere.
Yes,
like the ones from the GBA.
Yeah, I want like the ultimate.
Those super brutal GBA bonus levels. Yeah.
I want the complete package somewhere.
That's what they need to put in in the Yoshi game for Switch,
God.
Hidden bonus mode, HD remake of Yoshi's Island, complete with GBA levels.
There you go.
Yeah, but if we're fantasy booking that, we probably need to get out of here. So, if you want to find us on Twitter, Justin can be found at King Nintendo Fan.
Yep,
which you can find his mourning over the fact that his $12.10 copies of Pokemon Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon got canceled.
Oh,
you'd be crying too.
Yeah, I'm jealous because I'm looking at $80 for that before tax.
Jeez.
And that's sad thing is that's your regular price. That for me, that's a discount. Zach is on Twitter at Zemler1902 for all your dinosaur and other large-breasted mammal needs. Yes, and I'm on Twitter at Donald Mick, or the other podcast I do on a regular basis, which is about to have its 100th and last episode as soon as I can get 99 at the door. Nintendo Free Radio at NFR Podcast. And we are also on Patreon, patreon.com/NWR for exclusive news and content, including a quick fire audio version, assuming I don't fall asleep immediately after we go off the air tonight. Because that's literally what happened last week, folks. I am sorry that happened, but I work at I have to get up at 6:30 in the morning on weekdays now because of my new job. So, and we ran till almost 1 o'clock in the morning my time last week.
Oh dear God.
Yeah. And of course, if you want all the news and reviews you can handle, it's over at NintendoWorldReport.com. We've got reviews for pretty much every big game this came out this week, and a few of the smaller ones even as well. But that is our show. Have a good night. Bye-bye.
Later.
Late.